good. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 10. It's March 6, 2020. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaivanamoktamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavat Yutamashloki Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. So, text 10 of chapter 2 of the first canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Kamasya Nendriya Pritir Labho Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Yas Seha Karmavi Kamasya Nendriya Pritir Abo Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Yas Cheha Karmavi Kamasya Nendriya Pritir Abo Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Yas Cheha Karmavi Kamasya Nendriya Pritir Labo Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasya Narto Yas Cheha Karmavi
Kamasya Indriya Priti Labo Jivata Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Jasya Karmavi
Kamasya Nendriya Priti Labo Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa
Narto Yas Cheha Karmavi
Kamasya Nendriya Priti
Labo Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Yas Cheha Karmavi Kamasya Nendriya Pritir Labo Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Yas Cheha Karmavi
Kamasya Nendriya
Pritir Labo Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Yas Cheha Karmavi
Kamasya Nendriya
Pritir Labo Jiveta Yavata
Jivasya tattva jignasa.
Jivasya tattva jignasa.
Toyasteha karmavi.
Toyasteha karmavi.
Would anyone on the internet like to recite the verse?
Kamasya Indriya Pritir
Kamasya indriya pritir
Labo Jiveta Yavata
Labo jiveta yavata.
Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa
Jivasya tattva jignasa
Nartoyasteha Karmavi
Nartoyasceha karmavi. Kamasya,
Kamasya.
of desires.
Of desires.
Na,
Na.
not.
Na.
Indriya,
Indriya.
senses.
Senses.
Priti,
Priti.
satisfaction.
Satisfaction.
Labha,
Lava.
gain. Jiveta,
Jiveta.
self-preservation.
Self-preservation.
Yavata,
Yavata.
so much so.
So much so.
Jivasya,
Jivasya.
of the living being.
Of the living being.
Tattva,
Tattva.
the absolute truth.
The absolute truth.
Jigyasa,
Jigyasa.
inquiries.
Inquiries.
Not,
Not.
not.
No.
Artha,
Artha.
end.
And
Ya, cha, iha,
Yacha iha.
whatsoever else.
Whatsoever else.
Karma be,
Karma be.
by occupational activities.
by occupational activities.
Translation, life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life for self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Please repeat after me. Life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification.
Life desire should never be directed towards sense gratification.
One should desire only a healthy life
One should desire only a healthy life
or self-preservation.
or self-preservation.
Since a human being is meant
Since a human being is meant
for inquiry about the absolute truth,
for inquiry about the absolute truth,
nothing else should be the goal of one's works.
Nothing else should be the goal of one's work.
Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The completely bewildered material civilization is wrongly directed towards the fulfillment of desires in sense gratification. In such civilization, in all spheres of life, the ultimate end is sense gratification. In politics, social science, altruism, philanthropy, and ultimately in religion or even in salvation, the very same tint of sense gratification is ever increasingly prominent. In the political field, the leaders of men fight with one another to fulfill their personal sense gratification. The voters adore the so-called leaders only when they promise sense gratification. As soon as the voters are dissatisfied in their own sense satisfaction, they dethrone the leaders. The leaders must always disappoint the voters by not satisfying their senses. The same is applicable in all other fields. No one is serious about the problems of life. Even those who are on the path of salvation desire to become one with the absolute truth and desire to commit spiritual suicide for sense gratification. But the Bhagavatam says that one should not live for sense gratification. One should satisfy the senses only in so much as required for self-preservation and not for sense gratification. Because the body is made of senses which also require a certain amount of satisfaction, there are regulative directions for satisfaction of such senses, but the senses are not meant for unrestricted enjoyment. For example, marriage, or the combination of a man with a woman, is necessary for progeny, but it is not meant for sense enjoyment. In the absence of voluntary restraint, there is propaganda for family planning, but foolish men do not know that family planning is automatically executed as soon as there is search after the absolute truth. Seekers of the absolute truth are never allured by unnecessary engagements in sense gratification, because the serious students seeking the absolute truth are always overwhelmed with the work of researching the truth. In every sphere of life, therefore, the ultimate end must be seeking after the absolute truth, and that sort of engagement will make one happy because he will be less engaged in varieties of sense gratification. And what that absolute truth is explained as follows. So that's the next verse. Suspense. Again, Shalakaya. Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Hina Bhutale Svayamrupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Kritana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Ishakan Vitam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sate Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpati Vyashta Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Atitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Kamasyanandriya Pritir Labo Jivete Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Nartayas Cheha Karma Bhi. Life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life for self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Hare Krishna. As some of you may be aware, in about 24 hours, we're going to start something called the Sapatov Advanced Seminar. Some are cheering, some aren't cheering. Okay, so, all right. So, and if you weren't aware, then you would have become aware just a few minutes ago when Marie colorfully added to the Prema Damani prayers. She added to the eternal Prema Damani prayers. Sapatov Advanced Seminar Key. Super soul, no doubt. So, yeah, so what's the advanced seminar about? Whether we experience the advanced seminar or not, the question, what's this about? So this is it. Then how you get it. So, so this talks about what all life is for, and especially the human form of life. Right? As Teilhard de Chardin said, we're not human beings having spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings. And in the human form, we have the intellect and the consciousness to do more than the animals do. I mean, the essential animal activities are eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And so in human form, it said, okay, let's live a healthy life, let's be healthy, but not to make care of the body, the goal, not to make gratifying the body or the subtle. There's the gross material body, Mirapona Lobayu, Kamana Vidarevacha, Ankrahitiyame, Dinaprakrita Ashtadu. The gross material body made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and the subtle material body made of ahankara, false ego, intelligence, and mind. So not to make bodily gratification the goal. And so a human being is especially meant for inquiry into the absolute truth. That which is true in all time and space. Okay? So even like, this body, I'm David Wolf. You're Israeli, kind of Russian, like that. Yeah.
No, that's one.
Your Floridian, Canadian, Russian. Your truth is so confusing. Right. So that's the thing. So these are all you know. Actually, when I was in Israel, it was back 38 years ago or so. No, there was one Mataji, one woman, and her whole life she was a Jewish Israeli. She was a Jewish Israeli. And then somewhere in her 20s, she found out that actually her grandparents lied to get into Israel, and she was just like some Polish non-Jew. As far as her DNA and genetics.
That's what happened to my mom.
Okay, so there's lots of stories like that. Her and she didn't know about it. She was like woman or 20s, so like her whole identity, like that. I'm not Jewish. Oh my God. It was a whole thing. Okay, so this is all relative truth. I'm 59 years old, and male. 5 foot 9 or 10, like that. And so we all have these relative truths. So was I David Wolf, American? How true was that a trillion years ago? How true will that be? I recently read some poetry by Prabhupada, because his books, his lectures. But his poetry, it's a period where he's in Vrindavan, and he hasn't come to America yet. He's penniless, and and in the poetry he's talking about how his family members have rejected him because he has no more money, and he goes, this is a very sad tragedy. Mm-hmm. And I sit here laughing. It's a poem. I mean, I'm not being poetic like Prabhupada. It's beautiful the way he writes it, so moving. He says this is a complete his family member. He said these family members have disintegrated into a list of names. Okay. Well, listen, this is my cousin Arnold. This is my Uncle Bill. What do you mean, just a list? Okay, so it's time. And Betty, don't you laugh. So, okay, but then you get some perspective. Like, what were these relations a trillion years, 10 years? What will they be 20 years from now? So who are we eternally? We're spirit soul. We're spirit soul serving. This is what the advanced course is about. And to realize, to distinguish reality from illusion. So this like in human life, we get to be truly introspective. It's in our Sapphato statement of purpose: courageous introspection and purposeful action, power of communication. To be truly, to realize, to actually realize, not just theoretically, to realize our eternal indestructible spiritual nature. Antavati me deha nityata sririna. Anashino prameyasya tasma yujasva bharata. That Krishna is telling Arjuna, look, only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal spirit soul is subject to destruction. Therefore, there's no not from Shochi to Arhasi. Therefore, there's no cause to lament. So it's about to give up the attempt for fulfillment and peace and security. All those experiences we're looking for: power, beauty, satisfaction. All those experiences we're looking for. To give up the attempt to achieve them externally. I once heard a quote attributed to a comedian, and said he said to be to try to be happy by material acquisition is like trying to satisfy your hunger by taping sandwiches all over your body. So I'm sure that's an image you didn't need to put into your mind, but I did it. So
I met someone like that.
You met someone?
He was spitting raccoons like that.
Okay, there you go. So So to give the so to give that image a more shastric basis, so Bhagavad Gita describes Yehi samsparsha jaboga dukkha yunaya evate jantavanta kante nate shubhamate buddha. What that says, that it talks about intelligent people, wise people. That it's described that a wise person does not seek their fulfillment, just like it does not seek in the contact of the senses with the sense objects. Okay. Why? Because such gratification, such pleasures have a beginning and end. And we're eternal beings. We're never going to, it's going to always be like chasing the mirage. We're only going to be fulfilled by fulfillment, by pleasure. That's Rama, by pleasure that is ever increasing and doesn't have a beginning and an end, and that cannot be destroyed. So Prabhupada gives the example of like in an animal, could be a human, but let's say an animal in the desert is thirsty, looking for water, chasing the mirage. And there's water, but the mirage is it's just over there. Oh, it's just over there. And then the animal gets exhausted and dies. So that's us seeking fulfillment, seeking nourishment for the soul through external gratifications. Okay? So just trying to take care of the car and not feeding the driver of the car. Okay? It's because there's no water in the mirage. So there's no water. Now that's not true. There is water. So this is the point of this verse. This is a main point of this verse. So there's no water in the desert. There's no water in desert life. So then some conclude, water doesn't exist. No, water exists. Water exists. We need to, get out of the desert. But water exists. Now, because some philosophies, they will expose the truth that material life is a mirage and there's no real, it's all useless, it's all a dream, it's all, and there's truth to it, of course. So give up, and then it leads to cynicism and nihilism. But the point made here is that there is water. We just need to stop looking for it in the desert. Looking for it in the desert is trying to look for it by the sandwich analogy, or trying to just take care of the car without taking care of the driver of the car. So there is water, there is nourishment, there is food for the soul. Okay. There is food for the soul. It's not in the desert. So Prabhupada, he sets up our anticipation for the next verse. But I'm not going to say that verse. I'm going to go 2 verses ahead. So 2 verses ahead, Prabhupada says, Sutta Goswami says, Tatchadadana munayo gana vairagya yuktaya pashantyat mani chatmanam bhakti shutta grihitaya. Bhakti shutta grihitaya, yes. And so that says that, okay, so a humble and serious sage, a student of the truth, realizes the absolute truth. How? Through bhakti. Through bhakti. Through engaging in devotional service. And this study, sometimes engaging in devotional service, that's just an affair of the heart. What about really intellectual people? Where will we find philosophy more intellectually satisfying than in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita? The answer is nowhere. Well, that's just your opinion, Data Wolf. Okay, so go study whatever philosophy, or bring me your favorite professor, and let's compare. Let's compare. Let's see. The emphasis here is certainly not to blindly follow. No, let's apply our heart, our mind, our intellect, and see what makes sense. See what makes sense. So by serving the absolute truth, okay, I will give the next verse. The next verse this is the one where Prabhupada says, Prabhupada sets us up. And what that absolute truth is explained as follows. Vedanti tattvavidas tattvam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdite. Learned transcendentalists realize this absolute truth in three phases. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So Bhagavan, that's the personality of Godhead. And Bhagavan realization includes all other realizations of the absolute truth. So we understand the absolute by serving with love and devotion, and then knowledge gets revealed. Shinvatam Sarkata Krishna Punyashravan Kirtanam Ridyam Tastoya Vajrani Vidumati Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul Paramatma in the heart of all living entities and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the heart from material desire for the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So this hearing and chanting, this studying Bhagavatam, discussing Bhagavatam, chanting Hare Krishna, this is devotional service. And by engaging in devotional service, then we cleanse our heart. We cleanse our heart of all the gunk, of all the junk. And then we make our heart, our consciousness, a receptive to receive absolute truth. And the result, we become fulfilled and we stop chasing mirages. We become fulfilled, we stop chasing mirages. Yes, Prabhupada's referring in the purport here to a verse from Gita. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasi dehinam. Vasuvarjam sopyasa paramjishta nivartate. That's commonly known as the higher taste verse. Maybe some of you are familiar with the higher taste cookbook. Okay? So that comes from that verse. Yes, you're smiling. Okay, so for example, okay. I just want to catch on something here. Yeah, so Prabhupada writes, in every sphere of life, therefore, the ultimate end must be seeking after the absolute truth. And that sort of engagement will make one happy because he will be less engaged in varieties of sense gratification. So what does inquiring about absolute truth have to do with lessening engagement in varieties of sense gratification? Okay, because this is the nature of the soul, to go for the highest truth, to engage in devotional service. When we do that, we have the higher taste, and then clicking here and there on the internet just is not that attractive anymore. Okay. We're going to be starting so it's the higher taste. What Krishna says in that higher taste verse is, it's practically impossible to give up a lower taste unless we have a higher taste to replace it with. So engaging in bhakti yoga gives the soul a higher taste, and then we're no longer driven and pushed and pulled like puppets by our lower nature, by the misidentification of the self with the body. The example is often given. If a child is doing something destructive, and we tell the child, just stop. Okay. Or we say, look, just sit in the corner. You've been naughty. Just sit in the corner and do nothing. Just sit there. So the child can sit and do nothing for maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds, if it's a very patient child. And then it will need to do the destructive thing again. If instead, though, we give the child, look, here's something constructive and healthy and productive, and it's more fun than the destructive thing. Then the child's having more fun. And then it doesn't even think about the destructive thing. So that's bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is, but I want to have fun. I want to have a good time. I want to party. So this is the real party. This is the party for the soul. It's the party for the soul. Well, just like if we just look, let's just look at the last 4 hours from the okay. So like at 5 a.m., dancing in joy.
Yeah.
Okay? Chanting and singing the names of God. Okay? Studying sublime philosophy, associating with people dedicated to conscious communication. Oh, it would be a lot more fun if I could just like, actually I was, if I could just kind of sleep till like noon. Actually, I was talking to someone not too long, and he has some attraction to bhakti, and like he's experienced some taste of morning program like that, but no, his own program. His own program, he gets up around noon and then smokes cigarettes. And if he comes to bhakti, he'll need to give that up. Yeah, because he wants. Now we might all be going like, what? But I can think of my own version in my life of my enjoyment is getting up at noon and smoking cigarettes. I can think of my own version of how I'm that foolish, and I think it's happiness in the illusion that by deviating from the path of bhakti, I'll be happier. Okay, you and I have thousands of experience, right? If I just follow this path with simple enthusiasm, and the soul is awakened and joyful. Okay? And yeah, so in the advanced seminar, we're going to have some ground rules. We're going to have some ground rules, more than in the foundational seminar. So, yeah. So in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses the term the regulative principles of freedom. Okay. And so we can think of regulative principles, commitment, regulative principles, that's oppressive. That's oppressive. Actually though, we intelligently accept regulative principles, just common examples we all have. It's like, okay, yeah, I follow the regular principle. I brush my teeth after eating. Okay, so then, oh, that's oppressive. No, that frees me to have healthy life and like that. We can say, oh, it's so oppressive, and because I'm a free person, I'm my own man. I'm an independent person. I do what I feel like doing. So then, if I feel like, even though it's Florida, I'm going to drive on the left side of the road. And for me, it doesn't work in Florida, driving on the left side. So for me, and for me, like if I see a red light, I'm just going to go very fast. Why? Because I'm free. I'm my own man. No, yeah, thank you. Yeah, because that's freedom. Now we understand that in that conception of freedom will constrain my freedom with a big fine, or in a hospital, or maybe in prison, right? So here's regular principle of drive on the right, in England on the left. We want to know the regular principles, stop at red, stop sign, you stop, look at both ways. I'm happy to follow the regular principles because it helps me to achieve my goal of driving to Gainesville or Orlando or Atlanta or wherever it is. Right? We're happy to follow. So similarly, if we want joyfully increasing realization of who we are as spiritual beings and come out of the illusion that we're not the body, who we are, developing enthusiasm to serve God with love and devotion. If we want to make inquiry into the absolute truth our goal, there are certain regulative principles, whether in the seminar room or outside the seminar room, that support us. And certain things we can do, that will seriously interfere with our process of cleansing the diamond soul. It'll be a serious setback. It'll be a serious setback, as we sometimes say. As we sometimes be heard to say after a seminar, and people are just connected with this verse. They may not know this verse, but they're connected with who they are as eternal living entities and the power and the grace and the beauty of that. And we sometimes say, at the end, if you want to come down, smoke a joint, for example. So there's certain activities, whether it's eating, the results of gross violence, or drinking alcohol, or smoking, or irregulated sex life. And it's not about, you're saying it's wrong, you're saying it's bad, who are you to, it's not about good, bad, right, wrong. It's just about what's the effect on our consciousness. What's the effect of our consciousness if I get up at 4 a.m. and then chant Hare Krishna and study Bhagavatam? What's the effect on my consciousness if I sleep till noon and get up and watch some TV? It's not about right or wrong. It's about what experience of life do we want? What consciousness do we want to experience and do we want to share with the world? Tamasya Nendriya Priti Lavojiyati Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Notayascha Kamari. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life for self-preservation, because a human being is meant for inquiry into the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Hare Krishna, thank you for listening. I welcome if anyone would like to share any realizations or comments or ask any questions at this time.
It's an interesting thought to think about in regard to the Bhagavad Gita, clearly explaining and stating as the absolute truth that we are not entitled to the result of our work.
Mm.
You know, it's like gravity, okay? Well, we just, gravity doesn't exist, or it exists, or whatever, but gravity is just a fact.
Yes.
So similarly, like we are not entitled to the result of our work is a fact. And then the Bhagavatam tells us, okay, nothing else should be the goal of one's work. So it's very clear, like that we are supposed to work.
Yeah.
And then in that, we're not working for the result, and then the reason for our work is self-realization and growing on the absolute truth.
Yes.
And it's got a quite compact.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, we're going to act. When we say so this isn't where we're talking about Bhakti Yoga in whatever form, including the Sakta Advanced course, which is intended to be part of the process of Bhakti Yoga. So that introspection doesn't mean the goal is to do nothing. No, introspection to move us to the activity of the soul, and our purpose is self-realization and God consciousness. And whether we all have our fields of endeavor, we all have our fields of work, we have our family relations, we have our career, like that. And this is saying that, yes, okay, Dharmasya Yapavargya Sanototaya Kalpate Nartasya Dhammakantasya Kamalabhaya Hismrita. That all occupational engagement, whatever your profession, all occupational engagements are essentially, ultimately meant for realizing this absolute truth, for liberating us from the illusion that we are this body, and to help us understand that we're eternal spirit souls. So occupational engagement should never be used for sense gratification, and or for material gain. And if material gain comes, not to use it for sense gratification, rather to engage it. So we get some money, we get some property, engage it in service of the absolute truth. And that's not a sentimental thing. That requires knowledge and study and understanding of how to do that. Otherwise we're just furthering our entanglement in the miseries of illusory existence. Thanks for that, Molly.
But the same, we get entangled in this complexity.
In the complexities, yes.
The more we are trying to control matter and nature, the more it's trying to control us.
Yeah.
And we get so entangled in this complexity. And then if we just focus on serving the absolute truth for the sake of inquiry about the absolute truth, then there's no more complexity.
There's no more anxiety. So I'll just follow up on the point Melanie is expressing. This is so key. This is so key that okay. So there's a low-level survival strategy called maintaining the appearance of control. We're going to focus on it about 24 hours from now. But the idea is, and we all have this, that which we're trying to control to make us happy, it controls us. Right? Right? I'm just trying to control the economy. I'm just trying to control this person. If he'll just start doing that and she'll stop doing that, then I'll be happy. I got the formula for success here. I just need to, it's just a matter of controlling the 7.2 billion people on this planet to act as I would like. That's it. Yes.
I almost got it.
Yeah, you almost got it. Right.
Oh.
Right. So then that which we're trying to control controls us, right? And then we're miserable. Then we're slaves. It's like, yeah, she's doing what I want. I'm happy. Oh, he's not doing what I want. I'm sad. I'm so angry. Like that. Okay. Or it could be people. It could be health. Like that. So the actual fulfillment of the soul is in engaging in devotional service. That's the ultimate dharma of the soul, to engage in pure devotional service. And that's where we're completely satisfied in ever-increasing bliss. And the good news about that is that nothing can interrupt it. If my only desire is to serve Krishna through his pure devotee Srila Prabhupada, my only desire is to serve Krishna, and that's it, then nothing can get in the way. Yeah, but what if this happens? What if that happens? What if there's this catastrophe? What about health? What about disease? So that's good news. I mean, it could be bad news because I like to think and convince people I really want to do devotional service, and I will as soon as. But I just have this excuse. No, in 6 months from now, you're going to see pure devotion is going to be flowing from me like a river. Now you're going to see just a few things I need to get in order. But if I look back the past 40 years, it's only 6 months away. Okay, so nothing can get in the way of the soul's desire and action in devotional service. And that's the bliss of the soul. Nothing can interfere with that. And as soon as we have other desires, then the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Sakaliya Shanta. As long as we have any desires, Prabhupada points that here in the purport. Even if we have a desire to become one with everything. As the joke says, what did the yogi say when he entered the pizza parlor?
This one.
What did the yogi say when he entered the pizza parlor? Make me one with everything. There should be a drum roll, something. Okay, yeah, thank you. All right, thank you. So even the desire to become one with everything is a material desire. It's an escapist desire. We won't get into that too much here. Okay, so any desire, there's no chance of shanti, no chance of peace, until Krishna Bhakti Nishkama, a Krishna devotee, a devotee of Krishna, has no material desire. The only desire is to serve Krishna. Ateva Shanta. Then that's peace. And it's a very active, dynamic peace. It's active, it's engaging all our propensities in transforming matter to spirit through the process of devotional service.
Full of anxiety, can have peace.
Like that. We take on spiritual anxiety for Prabhupada's mission, and then the soul's peaceful. Dominique.
Everything you just said, happened to me yesterday. Not everything, but the part about controlling.
Yeah.
But then anyway.
You got evidence yesterday that you're not the controller of the universe?
Yeah, well, anyway. We're have this goal of seeing if we could move from our home.
Yeah.
And we put it on the market and we have a buyer.
Yeah.
And then the next day we found out from the people, the only other property we planned to move on, the only one that we found so far that we would be willing to move to, we found out 3 different facts that we can't work with. And I'm I knew that question mattered, especially specific one, especially for weeks.
Yeah.
And I was just so stuck and like, that's wrong. I knew that. And like, you know, and I was trying to surrender and I couldn't, and I was commenting in my tunnel for weeks. I wanted to like, ask that. Like, all right, you guys don't want to communicate about that. All right. I was trying to surrender, but I was commenting on it. And then he was like, just go ahead and call. And then I called and no reply. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna find that. Like we're working, we're getting a buyer, we're showing like all the stuff. An important question needed to be answered, or you know, we have a buyer. It's just like all that effort, and I was like, this is wrong. And I was so angry. Not because I'm attached to the property.
Yeah.
Or that I really want to leave my home. I actually like my home, and it's okay if we don't go. I just didn't like the communication part, and I was blaming. And but I don't know, like somehow it was okay that I was blaming.
Okay.
Like Gaetano at one point, I was blaming different people, including my husband. But it was so cool. Like I was putting pressure on him to like admit, to like realize something or look at something like, well, how come like you didn't. It didn't click with you about this question that was essential if we're going to sell our home. And he wouldn't really like satisfy me with his responses. I wasn't satisfied, but I like kept putting pressure. I was angry and expressing it and blaming, okay? But then it like pushed him into like this assertiveness. He's like, you know what? And I'm not gonna like say everything he said. He's like, who worked on, well, I'll just say, it's kind of funny. He's like, who worked on this house for 60 hours, 80 hours? He's like, I don't care about this. I don't care about her. I don't care about him. And he was like, you know what I get out of this? I'm grateful. He's like, 'cause I don't care where I live. I want to like serve Prabhupada and Krishna. And I was like, hey, quick question. And then I started laughing. And then I was like, quick question. Do you care about me? I was like, oh, you want? And then I said, you want to serve Prabhupada? Why don't you enter my world so I could feel understood? And it was just like, we like somehow like, it was like a blow up, but like we ended up laughing and like, and anyway, I'm like, you know, you're not supposed to, a surrendered wife, you know, is supposed to like just follow, you know. I was like, you know, not doing it, but then somehow like seeing that this happened like maybe 5 times over our marriage where I push him and then he becomes assertive and then I'm like, I respect you. Anyway, it's a funny story, but I don't know if it relates, but somehow yeah.
Well, I get.
It comes up.
I appreciate you sharing. I'm definitely entertained by it. That's something. And
is it gratifying?
Yeah, yeah. Sherry, this was a somewhat heavy, serious domestic altercation.
Her child yelled out, "Close the door!" I'm not a conscious parent, and my dog is already conscious, and like I'm like not acting, appropriately. Anyway.
And I get it.
Okay.
I get that you and your husband, are relating and responding to the interaction, to the altercation with a good measure of true transcendence. That because ultimately your sense gratification and his sense gratification, it's hardly your goal anymore. And because your goals as a family are so much related to serving the absolute, then therefore you're able to laugh just 15 hours later.
Within a minute.
Within a minute even.
I was like,
within a minute. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, and Gaetano was trying to point out higher level concepts while I was angry. And I was like, I already know that. I was just on the phone with Rebecca. I like walked out of the house and I was supposed to call her anyway, and I just vented like away from him. I was like, those are the exact same things I just realized and sound on the phone. Anyway, I'm just telling you some of the same things that we don't usually talk like that. But it was just like so much pressure built up from like this process that I just
Hare Krishna.
So good.
I have a question. question that I wanted to ask.
Yes.
I thought about this a few weeks ago. What's the difference between, or difference or similarity between Dharma and Atma? I was thinking about that. It's,
Dharma and Atma?
yeah. Like, it seems like they're kind of the same thing somehow. But there is a
How so?
distinction.
How so?
Well,
How do they seem the same?
Well, like Atma is my like I mean on like different levels. Like Atma is my identification.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
There's
Nice.
the body and senses, and then there's the mind, and then I guess there would be like the entirety of my body and mind, gross and subtle, and then there's the soul, right? The Atma, the soul.
Yeah.
And Dharma is basically my psychophysical nature and the activities of my body. And then there's the Sanatana Dharma of the soul, that's in relation to the soul, right? So it's some, like what I was thinking, I guess, was one's identification and one is the action, I guess, like like the difference between the light and the sun. Like the Dharma is in relation to the consciousness and the energy of the soul, and the soul is the actual like core identification of the soul. Is that correct? Or could you please?
Well, I like what you just did with that. So Atma is our being. And I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but we know from Prabhupada, Atma has many meanings. Usually it refers to the soul. It can also refer to the mind, refer to the body, but generally refers to the soul. So that's the being. And Dharma is the activity or duty or responsibility or natural action. And so that's the relationship. The Atma has a Dharma. And then related to what we discussed, so we have temporary dharmas, like as a citizen of a country, England or Israel or France or America, we have dharmas. As a member of a family, we have dharmas. And as a member of an organization, we have a dharma. Okay, but that's temporary dharmas. They don't relate to the eternal soul. And then what you said, Sanatana Dharma, that's the eternal dharma of the soul. So you might say, okay, so for me, this is a very deep and wonderful philosophical discussion and question, because there's the being and the doing. So the being is the Atma. We might say the doing is the Dharma. So being and doing are distinct. And also, being and doing are one. As Krishna describes in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one cannot refrain from doing something even for a moment. Whether we're an illusion or we're enlightened or we're a pure devotee or whatever, the nature of spirit is to be active. So as soon as there's being, there's dharma, there's doing, there's service. Our choice is how to direct that service. So as soon as there's that's why the paradigm of conscious living, it's not be, just be. No, it's be, do, have. And so our opportunity is to direct our doing to fulfill our Sanatana Dharma. Thanks for your question.
Can I add something
Yeah.
to that? Is that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema.
Subject,
Is that, like the be and the do is kind of fuzzy sometimes, like you said, like Atma and Dharma, because like our eternal constitutional position is to be a servant of Krishna. So here is like, it's a being, and then servant of Krishna is also a doing. So it's like the be and the do kind of merge into one.
Yeah, that's why I guess I was confused about it, why it seemed like the same
It
thing.
seems like a deep question, like you have thought about that deeply. Because most people will say, oh, I know what's Atma, I know what's Dharma. Why are you asking that question?
Yeah.
But I can see you have thought about it so deeply.
Lately, I've thought about it for the last few years.
Yeah, I can see
Just
that.
recently,
You spend a lot of time. And that's there, like Nitya Siddha, eternal, like Siddha, like constitutional position is, like to be servant of Krishna. To be servant of Krishna, and then that's our being. I'll be doing.
Yeah. Our being is bhakti, and our doing is bhakti.
Sounds peaceful.
You think peaceful now?
Thank you. Bhakti Briya.
When we have those that are not directly Krishna conscious, like what are the different ways that Krishna or the universe responds? Like I feel like one way is we like try to satisfy our desires, and then we meet those desires, and then we, like because we fulfill them, then we like move on to something higher.
Yeah.
Or maybe another path is like we try to meet those desires, and then we create a mess, and it's like a lot of suffering, and then we're like, I don't want those anymore.
Then we get the message, and yeah.
Yeah, is it written somewhere where there's like the different ways of that Krishna responds? Because I know Krishna wants to meet our desires, even if they're not directly Krishna conscious. Like he like loves us so much, he wants to facilitate what we want.
Yes. Yeah.
We have this catalog of billions of experiences in the universe to enjoy because he loves us. But then Maya's designed in a way to like for us to realize that that's never going to satisfy us. Like, is it written in like the types of ways that we transcend these desires? Like one way being satisfying them and moving on, another way being like suffering a lot.
Well, thanks for your questions, Gabrielle. Yeah, there's a lot on that. And I mean, the principles are, I would say, straightforward. The details can be complex because, well, Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple and complex for the crooked. So like that. So yeah, like all so much of the Vedas, it's about, okay, at whatever level we have desires that we're just attached to, not ready to give up, material desires. Okay, so let's fulfill them according to some context of regulation. That's why there are Vedas for those who want to eat meat. You kill a goat on the full moon, and it's very carefully designed. You do that for a few years, you're not going to undo that anymore. So there are Vedas for those with deeply ignorant desires. But okay, do it in a regulated way. Yashastra vidimutsidra vartate kamakarata nasa siddhamavatnoti nasukam naparam gati. So Krishna says, okay, wherever you're at, if you neglect shastric regulations, then there's no chance for happiness or fulfillment or peace or to advance. And we just go eager to distribute prasad. Yes. Then we just go down to lower species. So wherever we're at, to regulate it, and then we gradually discipline ourselves and advance. And then as far as how Krishna says, Upadrashtana mantajar bharta bhakta maheshwara parantmat meti tapyukto desmin pusha prasad. Krishna says, it's a super soul verse, says, I'm the super soul in the heart, and I'm the overseer and the permitter. So yeah, he permits everything. It doesn't mean he's pleased with everything.
Yeah.
Okay, but he permits, and then the whole prison house of material existence is get us to want to become a good citizen of this cosmic state. And for example, Prabhupada shares a verse in relation to himself. Yasyaham anugrinami harishe tadanam shanai. It's a verse from the Bhagavatam, where Krishna says, for my sincere devotees who still have material attachments, I sometimes take everything away. Now, we don't see Prabhupada in that light, but Prabhupada sees himself in that light, where Prabhupada had plenty of opportunity to become like a multi-millionaire and this and that. And one thing after another, like really strange things would happen with his business projects, and like they wouldn't quite be real successful. And then ultimately he was sannyas and penniless in Vrindavan, and he wrote that poem about, now all my family has rejected me because I have no money.
The verse is there, actually.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Yes, Vrindavan Bhajan, exactly. And so Prabhupada says, okay, now I'm just surrendering to Krishna. Of course, he was always surrendered to Krishna. So that's one way that Krishna works. But it can be, there's a lot of subtleties. Krishna can say, okay, here's a devotee who wants to surrender fully to me, but he or she still has some ideas, this and that. So let's accelerate the process and take everything away. Like that. But then, let's let's say if we look at as Prabhupada's life went on, and then he had nothing. He had nothing. And then Krishna gave him like $100 million empire with, just let's look at that. And he never used one penny for a sense gratification. He lived this verse. But okay, so that's also how Krishna can reciprocate. Or it could be Krishna can see that there's someone who has some devotional desires, but not that sincere. Maybe Krishna will give that person a lot of material opulence to fulfill their desire to be distracted for a few dozen years. Like that. So Krishna can work through karma, or of course when Krishna's not involved, then it's just mechanical. And it's just mechanical. You know, when Krishna gets involved, it's very personal.
I think of when I was in Vrindavan and I prayed one day for a sort of mass, and then the next morning monkeys chased me. Monkeys chased me the next morning.
Thanks for your question and sharing, Rio. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for your association. Anandini.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. And also, I feel very inspired. I get that you're ready for the advanced course.
That's encouraging.
It's inspiring. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your appreciation and your encouragement to the advanced seminar. I feel ready, and this morning program has definitely supported me to be ready.
I wish you all a wonderful experience.
Thank you, Anandini.
Thank you, Nandini.
It would be nice to do this every advanced
You're right.
program the day before.
Yeah, we typically wouldn't.
Yeah.
But we thought it might be good timing to have a full morning program.
Yeah.
And we feel confirmed in that. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.